Hey Gab Street listeners, thanks for tuning in this week. We did have some technical difficulties during the recording of this episode, so we are using the audio from my phone, which captured the video, instead of the actual microphone. I did my best to make it sound as similar as possible, but you may notice a slight drop in quality. But if I had not done that, we would have lost about half an hour of the footage, so please enjoy this week's episode. It has been long awaited. You're listening to the Gab Street Podcast, Columbus, Ohio's #1 podcast for underground talent. Every week we have new conversations with interesting individuals who contribute to the Columbus economy and its lively culture. You may find just what you're looking for right in your backyard. Let's get right into it.
Keep going, keep going. These are the podcast ad-libs for the first episode back. So, welcome back, everybody. Wait, I gotta do clap sync. Welcome back, everybody. We're finally back. There are people here in my house. Actually, that's kind of nuts. I have a calendar back there. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but each box is a week of my life, and I have marked the last 10 with a C instead of just filling it in. So. Just to remind myself in 20 years how short of a time this actually was. So, keep that in mind, y'all. Everything's temporary. Anyway, welcome back to the actual Gab Street. We're doing it again. This is very exciting. This is episode 67, I believe.
Wow.
And we went to remote for about 10 episodes now, so it's been like since 57, so I'm very pumped for the return. But first, I got a quick message. You'll hear a message from him later, but today's episode is sponsored by the digital composer Luke Chioka. You heard him on episode 5 a long-ass time ago. He will produce music for all of your needs. He creates super beautiful orchestral stuff in like FL Studio. So please hit him up. I will put links in the description of this episode. Let's get to some business. Today we have a long-awaited interview, and I have been very excited for it. We've had it booked for a long time. These people are all very dear to me in my heart. This is a group called Skulls for Grenades.
Skulls for Grenades!
Yes! There's the peak. Perfect. We got the mic peak. As I said earlier, those are some Skulls for Grenades waveforms right there. Perfect. I love it. I love it. So we got Omega, we got Nikita, we got Ali, and we got Danny. And they have been doing some super cool shit for the past, apparently, 3 years. So...
like 2.5.
2.5. 2.5?
2.5. Maybe 3. Maybe 3? No.
We're getting there.
No way.
We're getting there.
Time flies, man.
I
It
know
might
it does.
That's crazy.
It's got wings.
We're going to learn all about that shit today. But the first question I have that's probably on everybody's minds is, how do you guys think COVID is going to ultimately impact Columbus's music scene overall?
Well, I can definitely speak from experience because, like, not only am I in this band, but I help throw a lot of shows, put together a lot of events, help people connect things, also do a lot of music videos and stuff like that. And of course, COVID has severely impacted the scene. I think the big question for everybody is the unknown of what's going to happen. When are we going to get to do shows again? What are those shows going to be like? It just doesn't look promising for the rest of the year. And when I talk to some of my friends who are kind of bigger acts that play a lot bigger shows, do a lot bigger tours, they're not even booking in 2021. So I have no idea how that's going to impact us right now. I mean, really nobody knows. I do think that live streaming has become, more ubiquitous, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
And we're starting to see a lot more innovation in that area. But yeah, in terms of like face-to-face shows, nobody really knows. I know we don't have
No. Well, I think shit's gonna fucking pop off, though.
I think when things
when
really
things
do get going,
start
people are
coming
going to be
back
so
together.
ready to get back to the
I
scene.
mean, there's probably gonna be like a few, and then things are going to be weird again.
Right.
Once they get like the crop duster plane full of Corona be gone, just fly over the whole country. Everybody's just going to be at every show for years.
I think it's going to be very like peak trough, where there's going to probably be moments where there is like, all right, hey, we're all good, everyone can go back, and then it's like, oh wait, that was a bad idea. Everyone's
Like the different
now.
waves of it.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of happening
trough.
right now in a little bit of
Yeah,
a
I
way.
think we're at a new peak.
Especially since they've been, lightening restrictions.
Yeah.
I know I'm checking the, results every day, it's weird. It's weird. It's hard to know.
As of today, or not as of today, but I think during this recording they have since opened patios
Yeah.
for
Oh, yeah, we
restaurants
saw
and stuff.
pictures.
Yeah, I saw some pictures. I mean, it's
Standard
still kind of
hall.
alarming. It's kind of alarming still.
Yeah.
Who knows when anything's really ready, though.
It feels
There has
too
to be a test group of people that are just either dumb or just don't care.
Right.
Well, we're gonna have to see how
We're gonna
Georgia
do
and
it.
Texas go.
Right.
Straight
Well,
up.
Yeah.
we saw friends were sending me pictures from back home. Virginia beaches, beaches are filled up. So we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it doesn't. I hope like my hardest of hearts just hopes that nothing happens.
Mhm.
That we continue, the numbers keep going down, and that we don't really see too much. But it's hard to say. I mean, this is not a joke. This is a real thing.
To some people.
To some people, yes.
to logical people who follow the science.
I'm hoping to be able to throw some performances for very small audiences in the near future, like next 3 months kind of time frame, because it's 10 and under, right? Something like that. So as soon as venues give the okay for something like that, I can see that becoming a big thing.
And I think that's going to be pretty cool because, I've always been a fan of the exclusive approach to things, secret shows, and you only know if you know kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of enhances that concept quite a bit. So yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah.
And I think people would like to go see a small show.
Oh, yeah.
Especially at a time like this. You know what I mean?
Super. I mean, not comedy shows though, because I've been to a comedy show with 3 people in the audience and such. But I was the punchline for every joke. They made me sit in front. But for concerts and stuff, I've been to a few shows at Rambling House where it'll be a super tiny audience, and sometimes it'll be a well-known artist playing there too, and it's such a unique experience.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that becomes the new norm for a little bit, at least. A little bit of an experiment, too. And one thing that would come from that is more people being exposed to more venues.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, oh, this show's full at the venue that I normally go to. Let's go check out this new one. And people will be getting more exposure than they did before, potentially.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, actually. That's pretty good logic.
So this could be the age of shed shows. We'll see.
The
Cool.
age of shed shows.
Yes. Let's build some
I
sheds.
can already see it.
Yeah.
On a little poster.
Throw a show in the shed in the backyard. You're
You got a
Well,
shed, you
actually-
can throw a show.
We plan on doing a smash party where we tear that down.
Yo.
The shed that we have, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Really?
We wanted to do it.
BYOS.
pre-COVID, Yeah.
BYOS, bring your own sledge.
That's super dope.
It's very small.
We need to get a film team.
Oh yeah. Well,
You
yeah.
should come through. You said you own a sledge, and you have a hatchet over there too.
Yeah.
Throwing
axe.
We know
You
you
know more about throwing axes than anybody I know.
I do know a ridiculous amount. We won't get into that now, but maybe later. I, for one outcome of this that I'm okay with is it's going to be a little while before we're dabbing each other up again because I always fuck it up. So I'm okay with not embarrassing myself for a little bit. I'd see somebody I really respect.
Well,
I'd be like,
no,
yo, what's up? Oh shit!
The
All right.
new one is the new mess up is are you going for the fist or are you going for the elbow?
Yeah.
Everybody's doing that wrong because we've been recording a lot and which is really weird when you get to the studio. You're so excited. You were like, oh man, I want to.
Yeah, no, it's totally.
And
we're
we're not like one band who does all the instrumentation. In fact, we're like the vocalists of the band.
Pretty much,
so we're working with so many different people, and yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. are you cool with this? I got my mask on.
Oh man, I coughed directly on my elbow earlier. Sorry, man, I can't do that.
Some people will just still like dap you up. Like
Yeah.
the
Oh,
other
yeah.
day, just straight dapped us up, and
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, I guess that's normal. Oh wait, my hands here.
What is this again? Oh no, I forgot how to do that. It's been so long. Quick plan. I'm going to do a quick self-plug. I know you're all here, but this will be quick. We talked about this beforehand. This is very exciting. It's a plug for you guys too, because I want you to be involved. But we're doing a thing involving money and community. So it's some people that are really cool, that the community thinks are cool, are going to receive cool money, and that's going to happen because of you guys. So that'll be announced in detail on June 1st. So stay up to date on that.
Community, money.
Money,
Yeah.
community.
Cool.
Community.
Cool.
By the community, for the community. Support your locals before they go global. There we go. Now, the $1 million question, that's kind of a haughty thing for me to say, because I wrote it. But it's been a while.
We're keeping our giggles down to like 20%. Normally we're like way more.
I'm laughing.
Silly.
What makes you a unique group?
Well, we all like come from kind of different walks of life. We have like a lot of different influences within all of us. There's a large age gap between.
All of us.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm a young buck.
Like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
How has that influenced the way that you work together? The age gap.
I'll say that like it inspires me a lot because like when you get to like 38, like I am, you start
Hating life.
that was a boring thing.
Yeah, I'm more.
We'll get into that when we talk about the name.
Okay.
But no, it's like you kind of like start the scene. The music industry is always kinder to younger people. That's just a fact. And when you get older, you kind of just have to be more talented than the rest. And I don't really see myself as that kind of person. I see myself as a creative person, but I know there are much more talented people than me. But like for me, it gives me a lot of inspiration to just like or more confidence to know that like we're not only doing something right, but we're doing something that when you start talking about those subsurface, shallow things that the industry thinks about, we kind of cover a lot of those bases. So it's like kind of gives, like I said, it's a little hard to explain, but it gives me the confidence knowing that like we still have a strong chance to kind of break into some areas of the industry that I've never been able to access. So,
And I will say one advantage that you have is that I have never heard anything like what you guys do.
Yeah, most of that credit goes to Danny for
Yeah.
making the cool beats. A lot of them, except for Chamber, I helped make that one.
yeah,
But other than
and
that,
some new ones coming out.
oh, and the new ones, but we can't talk.
Oh, you got one of the words from the genre I was going to throw out. Okay, cool. Chamber.
What? Oh,
You guessed one.
I mean, it is kind of chamber music a little bit.
Yeah, once we
There's
get
a
to
lot
that
of
point.
really interesting dynamic
We'll talk
influences in it, especially
Yeah.
coming from your electronic background.
Yeah.
Fucking with more like higher paced shit, jungle drum and bass.
Yeah, we can.
like that.
Yeah, once we get kind of talking more about like where we get our influences from. But yeah, in terms of like what makes us unique, of course, we can talk for days about the fact that we dress up. Nikita and I represent demons that torment Omega, and from different perspectives. Ali represents more of the acting side of things, but her new character is going to be this really kick-ass witch character.
Oh, hell yeah.
Stay on the lookout.
And,
It's just gonna be
I
rad.
was waiting for that costume from Scene Sick. But we could talk about that for days. But I think really what it comes to is we all really fucking love our projects. It's like we all really bring unique things to it. Whether it's words, whether it's even just ideas for the music. I may be the like executive producer of the project, but I am in no way like, oh, I'm the one who controls everything. Omega brings entire beats. Nikita tells me ideas all the time. Ali gives me thoughts that I constantly am considering. So, we really are a unit.
I have noticed that compared to projects that I've seen from each of you before, this is the most unfettered I've seen it, if that makes sense. Like it feels like, especially you two that I've noticed the most, where just, because I know both of you better, but just more aspects of who you are as people are more readily available to see in the art.
Yeah, this shit is very, like, on the skin, you know what I mean? Like, everything is really put on the table, presented forward. Like, it's very fucking raw.
Yeah. Like, compared to some stuff that you've put out before, like more of the lo-fi stuff, I can tell that was something you enjoyed doing, but this is more of a passion.
Yeah, this brings more, well, like, you can hear it in my voice, it brings more of a beast out of me than like a, technical ability and showmanship, I guess.
It's more gritty, raw shit. I dig it so much.
Definitely more of the beast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So since I don't know either of you as well as I know these guys, what are some aspects of you two that come out in this more than they would have before, maybe? might be a tough question, but
I'd say vulnerability.
Yeah.
Just a form of expression for sure. I'd say before I met Omega, like I had my forms of expression, not like they were like in reign, but just not bounds I would go to. I think school's definitely opened up a platform for me to kind of just touch into, like, I would say teenage angst and just bring out that raw emotion for sure. And just like vocals and dance and everything like that, just able to just fully express myself. Like, I don't care, here I go.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I haven't had to be the witch yet, so.
Fair enough.
Ask me later.
You've been there from the beginning, though. I mean, we got your...
I like putting on their prosthetics that Katie makes.
Yeah, Ali does a lot behind the scenes, too. She's going to be a lot in the more performance side things. And she also features on the record as, like, an actor, which is one of my favorite tracks coming up here soon. Yeah.
Are there, like, skit-style tracks coming up?
Well, there's, like, a skit in it. I mean,
it's in the song. It's not
like sandwiched in.
Interesting, like, speaking of teenage angst, I actually pulled all those lines from a diary I found. So it was, like, all the shit I've said about ex-boyfriends.
And that's what I mean by, like, different walks of life. Like, none of us are, like, the same kind of human.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? We don't, all come from the same shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Ali does a lot of, like when we get to the shows, she's kind of making sure we have a place to get ready. She's making sure everything stays on time. She stays in touch with whoever, our point of contact is, which is usually Sam.
Shout out to Sam Rothstein.
Yeah, shout out to Sam
Shout out to Sam Rothstein.
We all bring something unique that is needed for the project, as well as something emotionally to the project that, helps us to be more dynamic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and all of you are very hard workers.
Thank you.
I know that. The work ethic I see from this group is contagious, to say the least.
You're not the first person to say that, but it is literally an everyday thing. And especially because of COVID now, it's pretty much been our job. Like, this is what we do now.
How has this situation impacted you specifically, not just the scene, but...
So, like, we were in the process of booking a West Coast tour with our friends, with our friends, Forsaken Prophets. Shout out to Forsaken Prophets. They're a band out of Atlanta, super hardcore punk. We party with them at Skatopia every year. So we were working with them, and then it was almost like, first week we started talking, and we were like, all right, West Coast sounds pretty cool. And then we started making some of our phone calls, and then the coronavirus surprised us, and then we were like, all right, well, I guess we'll play it by ear. And then, of course, ultimately we had to cancel.
Yeah.
So we decided, we already had the concept for our full-length LP. So we were like, let's just get into it. Like, we didn't even really, like, sit down and talk about it or anything.
We had a loose concept,
we were
faster, more pop structure.
Right, yeah. We knew we wanted to, that's a good, point, is that our first record is very experimental. It was us really exploring all the crevices we could. And then with this, the next record, we were like, let's rein it back. Let's make something that's more palatable, more catchy hooks, more guitar riffs, more 4/4 patterns and stuff like that people are enjoying. So like,
And 3/4 patterns.
well, we'll get into that. That's
love
different.
time signatures.
Oh, yeah, we do
There's a
a
lot of time signature changes.
I mean, like
Yes.
4/4, we kind of are using a lot of that kind of stuff sometimes. But ultimately, yeah, COVID just thrusted us right into the album, which we didn't expect. But
And I think like you guys were all like lucky in that way that we live in the same house.
yeah,
So you guys can constantly like work on things versus I think a lot of other probably groups. This has impacted
yeah,
harder because
Oh,
they can't
for
be together
sure.
to work together creatively,
Right.
and yet like
yeah. Like I'm in a punk band, and we haven't gotten together since this started. So, so it's really
That's
we
probably the
do
case
have the
for-
benefit of all living in the same house. So, yeah, Corona has really changed a lot of things, of course.
I'm gonna make sure this thing is still recording because it is saying not responding at the moment.
Oh, that's sick.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's
I saw it like slowing down. I wanted to say something to you, but I felt like that was unprofessional.
Okay.
I've seen Audacity work enough to know.
All
I've seen
right.
it not work.
A little bit of a heart attack there. Okay, cool. Anyway, this situation feels kind of like kind of a block in the pipe, but where the pressure is going to build up heavy behind it, if that makes sense. And the pressure is going to build up behind it with the people who lasted through it. And this is going to prove to us and everyone who has been dedicated since the beginning, who is still dedicated, and who is not going to let anything stop them. I think we're going to get a huge volume of very deeply cutting, respectable art from every corner of everything.
Yeah, it's gonna really advance the scene.
I can see this
Yeah, right.
potentially even if we all work together enough, this might be the thing that boosts Columbus finally.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe that. Very much so, actually.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about it. I've been saying when shows do come back, it's going to be strong. But the fact that everybody, your friends that I have that haven't drawn in so long are back to drawing, and people are really just kind of, they have the time. I think we're all realizing too that maybe we were running that rat race a little hard. Maybe we didn't need to be going that hard, and I'm wondering how that's going to impact that. But that's more
Like for other people.
Yeah, that's more of a socio-political thing.
That is really interesting to think about, though.
Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Because I ain't been running the rat race. Not for real. Not since Copoid started.
No.
No. No.
I'm
Cowboy
chilling.
19.
Chilling.
How'd you guys meet Dookie?
Okay, so so meeting Dookie was I'm very into cryptocurrency. I've been investing in it since Bitcoin was $8. Helped me buy the house that I
Nice.
live in. But we were on this one platform that was the goal for it was a social media that ties in with cryptocurrency. It's called Steem, STEEM, and it was kind of like you made your post and then you get. Each like would kind of equate to money, or and then various other things. If you reshared
That
things
sounds
and stuff.
familiar. Okay.
It started off pretty cool. It got really bastardized by greedy people in the community, and then it just kind of became such a hot mess that just going to the website kind of made you feel weird. But in the beginning, there was so much excitement about it, and I still believe that cryptocurrency and social media should walk hand in hand, and that there should be some more development in that area. Steem was just not the answer. And for those who know cryptocurrency, Steem is a DDoS, which is so basically people would. So it's only a certain amount of people were allowed to kind of check blocks and stuff like that. So basically, all the power was funneled, and it just kept getting tighter and tighter. And when you have that, that's a problem. That's a causes power vacuums and things like that, and people always take advantage of and abuse those powers. So that's why I feel like that protocol didn't work out. But regardless, I was doing a podcast on there called Exclusive Rare and on the Rise. Grant Gatsby and I were actually running that.
Very nice, very nice.
But like, I was interviewing people from all over the world who were involved in Steam, and sometimes people from Columbus. And Dookie was like up in my top people I wanted to interview because he was so active. He still is so active on cryptocurrency, and he's just one of the most sociable people you'll ever meet. And you know, he was releasing I was releasing my stuff on that platform, and I was kind of getting recognized as the guy who's making the weird electronic music, and Dookie was the guy who was making weird hip hop music. And I was like, man, I can't believe this guy is making this music that sounds so good and so much like what I'm doing. So I had him on the show. We interviewed, and after we got off the interview, I was just like, yo, man, we're thinking about doing some shows out here. You want to come out? He's like, I'm on a bus, man. And just like that, 2 weeks later, he came out just to hang out.
He did just straight come through.
Yep, and that's so cool. When we made Dismantle. So it was literally he got off the bus, comes to our house, comes to my house. Omega comes over. We show him the track that was already pretty much finished without his verse, and he just sat there, kind of like this, and then turned to the mic and just dropped the hardest verse I've ever heard in my life.
So hard. I was like, was that like a freestyle? I was like, what was that, dude? And he's like, oh no, it just works. It just works.
That sounds like him so much.
Yeah. That very night we went out and made the music video, which took us about 2 days to shoot and then cut it like super fast. He went back to Jersey, came back, and then we went on tour together. And that was the first proto Skulls for Grenades tour, the Broken Brain tour.
That was a fun little tour. We went to Canada during that tour, didn't we?
Yeah. That was before we dressed up. We didn't have...
I was still yelling.
Yeah. I didn't do any vocals then.
No, you didn't. No, not at all.
Yeah,
it was all me.
Yeah. It was very different. The proto Skulls was
just
very
me
different.
Then, yeah.
But yeah, that's how we met Dookie. It was just immediate. And I mean, that dude is like... He's like family, you know, like to us now. So
and just like hella talented. Like,
yeah.
We went out busking with him.
That's how we paid for the tour.
Yeah,
those two would go out
food.
and busk, and that's how we paid for
times.
gas and food. And
Damn, that's cool.
It was awesome.
Rapping on the corner with the hat on the ground, you know.
But everywhere they would walk, like sometimes when you don't even wear hats anymore.
No, I don't. So I'm gonna bust with
there's a
without my
story.
hat.
So when we first started doing this, Omega always wore a hat. That was his thing.
I always wear a hat.
And we have this other friend.
No, you shouldn't.
There's this other friend we have who's very much like Dookie. His name's Black Liquid, and we played a show in Richmond, and I'm talking to Black Liquid. We're just shooting the shit, and Omega just kind of walks up, and Black Liquid just looks over to him, and he goes, just like this. You need to stop wearing a hat. It shows that you don't have confidence.
Bring it back to the conversation. I'm just like, do I put it on? Will I have more confidence if I wear it now?
But yeah, that's how we met Dookie, and I think it's still going.
Come on.
These are Audacity breaks that we got to take.
Man, I don't have the audacity for this right now. That would be that main very much.
Okay. But yeah, that's how we met Dookie, is through cryptocurrency, and then we just, now it's like anytime we have a tour ready to go, it's almost hard to do it without him. So.
And he did so fucking rad on the last one.
Oh yeah, and the last one was where we knew going into it, like, we want to mold you into our set, and we started getting in the habit of like we would pick. On the Broken Brain tour, we'd be like, we should go first, or you should go first. We would kind of go back and forth, and our sets would mold together. And now they're just this collaboration of people coming together. So,
and the one that I got to see was y'all went first, and then he went.
Yeah,
but it still worked.
But he opened the show, didn't he? With the
I
think I got there late.
Trap.
Oh yeah. He always that's when he was opening our set with Trap. Which is still, it's one of the best.
That's a crazy spoken word.
You can find it on the internet, I'm sure.
I think I saw him do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's nuts.
Straight acapella. He just runs the room, no mic. Shit's crazy.
Everybody
Not a lot of people
silent.
can do that shit, dude.
Nah.
Not a lot of people can do that shit.
That dude knows how to melt your brain straight up.
Oh yeah, he's
It's
just
crazy.
got bars for days.
Oh yeah.
And he's just so thoughtful. And he comes from such a loving family. And he has a really interesting story. You should have him on sometime and really talk, because he was a kind of a famous college basketball player.
Really?
Yeah, there's a whole thing. He was kind of there's a Black Lives Matter thing that happened to him pre-Black Lives Matter, like right before Eric Garner. And in fact, that whole thing eclipsed what happened to him because he died and Dookie didn't.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay.
Fascinating stuff.
Very.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. You wouldn't really know.
Yeah. But if you look him up, if you look up his name and stuff, you'll find it. And it was very, very, very big media thing that happened.
Send me his number.
Yeah.
Straight up. Let's get him in this room. Now, a quick bit of credit toward you real quick. On the video, I remember you mentioned when you guys showed it at Visioneers a little while back, you hand drew all of the framing and stuff.
So
right?
yeah, all the film scratches, all the borders, I hand drew all those, and all the signals, of course. Of course, those were drawn, but yeah, everything in there was hand drawn. There's all the film grain. I would just go through an Illustrator and I'd bring out like 20 frames on a board, and I'd go through and just make little dots instead of actually having
That's so nuts, dude.
real film grain. I just made my own.
It's very cool. So I just want to bring that up in case you didn't know he was in talent already. Just putting that out there real quick.
We're going to go ahead and take a break and hear a quick message from our sponsor, Luke Chioka.
Hi everyone, my name's Luke Chioka. I'm a film composer and multi-genre producer. Thank you for listening to the Gab Street Podcast. I'm here to tell you that I'd love to bring your next project to life. Whether that's a short film, advertisement, or rap album, I can produce for you with uncompromising quality. In fact, the background music you're listening to right now was composed by yours truly. I've composed for feature film, local artists, and nonprofits. You can find me on Instagram at luke.chioka, that's CHIOCCA, YouTube, and Fiverr. I look forward to working with you. Thanks and take care.
What are some of the biggest challenges that y'all have had to overcome as a group? COVID excluded.
We haven't really had any challenges. It's been pretty cool, man.
It really has. Like, honestly, because we don't argue about our music. We don't go in our creative differences are typically talked out. They're not argued out ever.
Okay.
And it's always one person hearing another person out. There'll be a lot of times where I'll make a track, and when we first hear it, we're like, all right, this works, and then we get the guitars on it, and Omega's like, man, maybe we should take that synthesizer out. And I'll do it immediately. There isn't it's always worth a try.
Yeah, never married to an idea. We're very all right, well, let's just see what that sounds like. And if it doesn't sound good, then we don't do it. It's nothing's for sure with it. And I think that gives us an opportunity to kind of be versatile with our sound as well.
Okay.
It's just there's the fact that at the core of it, this was Omega and I's genesis. We created this project, and then Ali and Nikita came along, and we were never like, you guys can't do something. It's always been whatever you want to do, and that's actually kind of one of the funny things when we bring session musicians into the studio or in the lead up is always okay, so I just want to make sure you like what we're doing. I'm like, I guarantee you, we're not going to tell you don't like it.
Yeah, we choose based on the person has a cool style that they already have kind of a little bit of a track record of doing cool shit. So just come do your thing,
Right, and that's kind of surprising to a lot of people. So yeah, I think the fact that we're so open and we live together, we share challenges living together, which in and of itself kind of make us grow closer together. So I honestly can't say we run. The biggest challenge is money. Always having enough money to make the things happen.
Yeah, that's it. Fair enough. And making the scratch recordings sound cool. Just putting in the time to make the scratch recordings sound cool.
Yeah.
That seems to be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because just going through and having to fix something that you're going to redo. But that's not me. I don't do that. I'm talking about it like I do it. No. It's totally him that does that. But
we have to all do it. We have to perform it over and over.
Yeah.
We're very meticulous about our approach, and that's another reason why I don't feel like we have big challenges because we come up with the vocals, we record them at the house immediately. We know that eventually we're going to go back to the studio and record them properly, which gives us enough time to practice and rethink, different things.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really interesting. We have a lot of fun. We're a good team.
And one thing you mentioned in passing there just a minute ago that I think connects to a whole more broader, is that a word? Overarching topic is you mentioned that people were surprised to know that you had chosen them, from them respect, and like we appreciate you for your talent. And it's it's surprising to me how often people feel surprised that they are given respect.
Honestly, so like a little bit of history for me is I ran a when I first got out of high school, I was a DJ for a while. I did was very successful in that area, and then I took a lot of the money I made from that and started a recording studio. That's where you learn more about how other people work, and not as many people are as open-minded as I am when it comes to like engineering and producing, and not as many people are willing to kind of open up. It really isn't very common that it's a whole group of us, and here it's not a brag or anything, but like people do respect what we're doing quite a bit, especially when it comes to the overall putting all the music together. It's hard to step back, even if you don't like what we're doing, to say that we're not doing it well. Yeah. So when we do approach somebody, I feel like there's a little bit of intimidation, but it doesn't take long for them to realize that we're not trying to intimidate you. Just have fun. That's what we always say to everybody. We're working with Scumlord on a track.
Okay.
Nice. Of course, the homie, we played shows with them.
Right. Good people.
And it's very much like it kind of it took me, kept saying, just have fun. Just have fun. Just do you. We're gonna like it. I guarantee it. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's something I'm passionate about here too. Is just have fun. Just put yourself out there. And you said not to brag or anything. This is the place to brag. This is the brag show. This is what it's supposed to be.
Brag Street.
Brag Street. Yes, that should be a segment.
Over here on Brag Street.
One thing I like to tell people is, like, if they say something like that, where it's like, well, I don't want to be too full of myself. I'm like, the bravest thing that someone could do, especially in like and this isn't a negotiation area, but especially in like a place of negotiation, is to show the other person respect first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you don't do that, I don't like tough guy shit. That's not my thing. Yeah. I don't understand it, and I don't really have much respect for that.
I have worked for enough, post my recording studio, I've been a filmmaker. That's kind of my primary thing. I have worked for some of the most awful human beings that you could ever meet, and that's what it is, that tough guy bullshit. Mm-hmm. It is so repulsive to me because it has actually affected me on levels where I've lost tens of thousands of dollars because of the way people reacted and responded and were just at the core. So yeah, kindness is like at the core of who I am because I've experienced so much.
Everybody deserves it, man.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
There's nobody in this world that does not deserve kindness.
Absolutely right.
No matter how many shitty things they've done, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah.
Just be kind to your neighbors. That's what we say here on Gab Street. Let's do a 180. Professional segue. What are your plans for a return to normalcy?
Try to play some shows.
Oh yeah.
Try to play shows. Yeah.
Just trying to play some
shows.
Anybody who's seen our shows know that we love what we're doing.
I want to go get food and not be worried.
We thrash. We have a good time. Yeah.
Wait, what did you say?
So I want to go get food and not be worried.
Yeah.
I want to go sit down and be like, I want to enjoy this meal.
But I think our transition is going to begin with our new LP. We're working kind of like on a pretty big project at the moment. Getting that out there. Of course, what we're doing right now is, for those who don't know, we are currently releasing our first EP. And the original goal is, of course, release it all at once, all the songs on one EP. But because of coronavirus, we felt like it was more important to just give people, and this is the thing, artists are giving to communities so much right now. Mm-hmm. And that's what we wanted, like every time a new song comes in from Il Poetic, who's doing our mixing and mastering, we just put it out. We've commissioned a different artist for every song. So ultimately it will lead to us releasing a deluxe edition of the EP before the LP, which will have a couple remixes, one song that doesn't technically go on the EP, but I guess now it is. which we haven't finished. And then, yeah, I think our return to normalcy will kind of center around the LP. I'm hoping that, you know, things will have calmed down by about that time and we can start playing shows again.
Oh yeah.
But
That's my
yeah, pretty
thoughts.
much, yeah. The next act for the performances.
Yeah, so
pretty much
the
that.
act that we did, so each tour is a new portion of our story. It's going to continue to go because you've seen our show. It's very much like a play.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the prologue, which was the last show, we killed Omega, rolled him up in a carpet,
Which I don't think you,
dragged him to hell in
That
Cincinnati.
was, that was in Cincinnati, Mockby.
So now we got to raise him back from the dead.
You gotta unroll me from the carpet. Which we don't have that carpet anymore.
We have to get a new carpet.
All I can
ruining
think of
the
is
flow.
Omega Burrito, and that's all I got.
It was.
Just me screaming with a mic.
He was like inside of it, like. And Dookie and I were carrying him out. That was fun.
Omega's extra at Chipotle. Got to throw down a little more notch for that.
But yeah, I think that's all we have right now. It's so hard to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell how anything's going to go. So I appreciate the fact that you were able to give such a detailed plan anyway.
I mean, I'm always thinking about the future.
Yeah.
I've always seen myself as a big picture thinker, and
Okay.
you know, it's always like I'm trying to think about like what variables might happen, and we don't know. We really don't know. You know, we can plan, but as they say, man plan, God laughs.
True that. True that.
I've never
Such
heard
a
that.
weird statement coming from
Man
Skull.
playing God left. Man playing God left. Man playing God left.
That's a good statement.
We should do that.
You might have just heard the development of the new song.
That's how most of them start.
Oh
It
shit.
really is.
It is.
Honestly,
It's like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, let's try it.
And then it develops into so much more.
Gab Street Writing Workshop? Straight up, let's do it right now. Oh, okay. This is gonna be a fun one. Was there any specific impetus for the name?
Okay, I guess I can start.
Yeah.
So the name ultimately is supposed to mean something different to everybody. That's why it's so vague. So skulls, 4 grenades, for me, really means you're born to die. You know, skulls, 4 grenades, kind of like so around the time I had started originally concepting like what this project would eventually be was during the Ukrainian protest where they were actually shooting civilians and there was no man lands from between the government shooting civilians, and I was watching news coverage and there was this little kid who kind of ran up and he throws a grenade, and I was just like, wow, we are really born to die. You don't know what you're going to be thrown at. We could have apex warfare or asymmetrical warfare come right on our doorstep and we wouldn't be ready for it. We wouldn't know what to do. So ultimately that's what Skulls for Grenade means to me. I'm at the core, I'm a nihilist, and you know, I truly believe that nothing really matters, but I believe in the freedom of nothing really matters. But yeah, that's what the name ultimately means to me, but it probably means something different.
I thought we were just here to blow their mind, bro.
See? I don't know. What do you think it means to you, Omega? I'd like to hear all of your thoughts.
pretty much the same thing, really. Like, we are kind of born to die. It is kind of a chaotic title, per se. Like, your head's just a grenade. Your skull is just a grenade. You know, it can blow up at any moment.
Aneurysms, bro.
It's just like,
Not fucking
they're
nowhere.
just cool words.
Oh,
Yeah, that's another
Skulls
thing.
and grenades.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
For some reason it flows.
and you kind of get like a mental image. I think everyone gets their own little micro mental image of like what that even means. You know, it's kind of visual in itself as well, which I think is neat.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of bands that have like a name where I really picture like a scene or like an object.
Well, can I get some t-shirts?
We're gonna do. We're working on that.
We
We're
got
working on that.
we really
Yeah.
got to get that moving.
What do you guys think? What does the name mean to you two?
I thought it was mind as a weapon. Mainly because of
Mm.
your words.
See?
Okay.
That's really cool.
Hell yeah.
I was like the born to die. I don't know. I give it a third one to say it.
Well, I mean, it's
Dumb.
good that there's a resonance, but I
I
yeah.
just thought it sounded cool.
I've always
Really?
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, like I like things to be vague and minimal because I've always wanted an audience to relate to things themselves. I feel like my entire career was always trying to shove like a theory down somebody's mind, and typically I didn't even have lyrics in my music, so it was like hard to really get that across. But yeah, now I feel like, you know, in my ages now, I just want people to relate and to just kind of connect in their own ways. So yeah, that's ultimately what the thing is. And the way it's spelled, the SXFXG, is a play on my favorite band of all time, which is MXPX.
Okay.
Which is, the original name was Magnified Plaid, which the X's are dots.
Cool.
It was just a throwback to, you know, my biggest influence.
Nice. MXPX plays at my work all the time.
Good.
So,
good.
Yeah, I know what's up.
You know they're still getting that royalty money.
Okay. Well, on the topic of influences, who are everybody's individual influences as a person and as a musician and a performer?
I'd like to go last on that.
Okay, cool. Well, like as like a writer, I'd say my biggest influence is probably like Earl Sweatshirt, because just the way that he lines up his syllables and everything, and that's kind of like not necessarily the style I was mimicking, but definitely like the style that I took after for a very early part of my career, and like still kind of now. You know, I just put out a fucking remix on one of my favorite beats by him. You know what I mean?
Which was dope, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Some of my newer influences, definitely like King Cruel. Like, the way that he writes, the way that he, like, you can just fucking feel some shit when you listen to his stuff. And, like, all of his different tonalities and everything are really inspiring because I don't really sing. You know, I've been kind of dipping my toes in that a little more. With some of the new projects. They don't sound very King Cruel, but, yeah. Danny Brown was also a huge influence of mine just for his just such captivating performance and shit like that, and just his beats slap. MF Doom, another huge on my list.
Actually, I have a Danny Brown one down there too. So
Chance the Rapper early on, another huge one.
Oh yeah,
I could go for a while. All right,
cool.
I'd say overall, like as a person, probably Grimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a performance with her music and just like her videos, her visions and everything. I like her style. My influences towards schools, I'd probably say a lot of Kitty, a lot of weird 90s grunge, like Scarling, Jack Off Jill, just angsty things.
Cool.
Well, I'm more of an actor, so
what movies are inspiring you?
So I would say actresses that, you know, shaped me were like Winona Ryder and like Christina Ricci. But yeah, I mean, I don't really.
Yeah. That's actually a good answer because nobody can like bring that to the table but you.
Yeah, I fucking couldn't. I don't know either of those actors.
You don't know Winona Ryder?
Oh man.
Oh,
I'm uncultured.
What about Casper? The movie Casper, Christina Ricci was the little girl in it. Yeah.
Ah, dude, too much weed brain.
All right.
Don't smoke when you're young, kids. You won't remember anything from your childhood.
But yeah, I do think that's cool. Well, I guess my answer is gets pretty deep, but one thing that anybody knows about me is my music taste is probably the most eclectic that you'll ever meet.
I can vouch for that. It definitely is.
I literally love everything from, like, you know that thing that when people say, I love everything but country, get out of here. There's a ton of country I love. I'll listen to country for an entire month straight. And nobody else likes it but me. But like, you know, I'd say I pull mostly from, you know, the core of it, chamber music is where our stuff comes from. I structure our music very much like Beethoven, you know, Vivaldi.
I see that.
Arvo Part. These guys really inspired me in that, you know, every Mozart piece was not just a song. It was always for a play. So there is a story that's being told. That's why a time signature change might happen. That's why a tempo change might happen. That's why a key change might happen. It has to. It only is there to serve the story. So that's where we really come from at the most. That's why we're probably one of the few hip hop groups out here in Columbus who are regularly using time signature changes. Sometimes we'll switch to a 5/7 not for no reason, but you know, out of nowhere, or a 3/4. We've been using, you know, a lot of 4/4 to 3/4 time signature switches.
They sound so cool.
It's my favorite shit, man.
Syncopation is a big part of it, which comes from jazz. So like that's another big thing is I really studied. There was a period from like 20 to 27 where I refused to listen to anything but bebop jazz because I needed to understand it so well. So like, you know, syncopation, the way that jazz will be, one person will be in a 4/4 time signature, and another person will be in a 3/4 or 5/7, and they're all playing at the same time. And that's so inspiring to me. And then, of course, we're pulling from a lot of metal. Behemoth and Zao are two of my favorite, bands of all time. And then of course, like a lot of punk rock and grunge, and then we start getting into a lot of the hip hop and electronic side of things, which, we could talk for days. MF Doom, Omega mentioned, he's like my favorite rapper. Kendrick Lamar, the way Kendrick Lamar just approaches his music. You don't just listen to a Kendrick Lamar song. It's like you hear one song, you have to listen to the whole album because it's a piece, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So these are anything ultimately that, any artists out there who are just doing more than making a song and putting it out. And not that I don't like that. There's plenty of artists I like that. But what inspires us most, I would say, is the acts that are making conceptual music. That's why our first EP was so weird. And now that we're into our first LP, it's still weird, but it's got a full-on story. Each song has a purpose. Some songs they connect even just by their names and their topics. So yeah.
I think when I was trying to describe your music to other people, I used the term death chamber metal rap.
That's pretty cool.
You might have finally figured out
metal chamber rap. Death metal chamber rap, dude. That's pretty good, bro. That's the best I've heard. No,
that's what I've been saying to people the whole time. I'm like, it's freaky. It's death metal chamber rap. You gotta fucking see it. It is something you need to experience.
I think on one of the flyers, Sam had put us as horrorcore.
Really?
I felt like that made sense.
Okay. That could go in there too.
Yeah. It's really just, it's like electronic, rap, punk, metal. Those are
the four our main pillars.
The big fat ones.
The first thing I think of when I think of horrorcore, though, is like Suicide Boys.
We pull a lot from there and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that we talk about a lot. And acts that I would say that directly influence us. Death Grips, of course. Oh, if you listen to us and you're not listening to Death Grips, I feel like you're probably not listening to us. Horror, so HO9909.
Yeah.
They influence us pretty heavily.
Ghostmain,
big
That's
influence.
Big
we always will. There'll be times where Omega and I will just be like, let's just do some research and we'll put Ghostmain on.
Nice.
Or Death Grips or horror. I'd say those are probably our top three like that you can point to. But the one thing that we always say is that a lot of acts. Suicide Boys is a great example where they have tracks that are very deep and have so much value, but then they also just be saying things and you're just like, I'm just saying that because you're making hardcore aggressive music. We really try to stay away from that. We're trying to make sure that everything has purpose. We don't just want to be out there and be like, well, F your mother and stuff like that.
Yeah, shock value doesn't really...
That's not our thing.
Yeah, we have a different kind of shock value.
Our shock value is that...
We still have that, for sure.
In the shows.
In the shows. But like when it comes to subject matter and just trying to say hard shit, that's real dark, scary. Dark blood, scary.
Ultimately... Our goal is to, we made this project to let people who are suffering from mental illness know that they're not alone. We all four suffer from depression, and we channel it and understand it differently, and we suffer differently. And we know that everybody suffers differently. And that's what our project is here for. It's here to let people know that, if you're suffering, it's not hopeless. You're not alone. The person next to you is probably feeling the same way you do. Mm-hmm. So, you can definitely get through your days. And I'm hoping that over time, people will be able to start pulling Omega's, lyrics apart and relating to them on a very visceral level, because they're really good. They're really from the heart. They're really from a place of understanding. So, and I always say, so a bit about our dynamics is, like I said earlier, the way it works is Omega is kind of this kind of person who is tormented by these demons.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
So
I'm the human version.
Right.
I'm like the human placeholder in the
So even my lyrics,
thing. I didn't say
they
it.
come from.
I said that
Human
vessel.
vessel.
Words don't work in my mouth.
But like, you know, typically if I'm writing lyrics, I speak from a place of a tormentor. But they are actually coming from things that I've experienced off of our new record. Especially I'm pulling from experiences that I've had in the past that I've never been able to talk about. But I speak from them as the tormentor, you know. And so, you know, like we all play our roles, but we're all speaking from our hearts. And, you know, again, like our influences don't influence us in saying that, okay, we're making hard music, you know. Let's talk about, like, you know, we're gonna come and cut your back and throw salt in it. I don't know what that.
I think people would be really surprised if they like actually like listened to Omega's
Yeah.
lyrics and like got to like read his lyrics. Like I think people would be really like mind blown.
I'd probably say my own wounds got salt in them.
Oh,
Because they hurt.
It's deep, bro.
Yeah.
Dude.
So our influences
Going on
run
projects.
deep, and they're always changing. You know, we get influenced by people around us a lot,
Mhm.
a lot. You know,
Who are some of those local influences?
Black Swan, big
Yeah.
influence. We love
Yeah,
playing shows with
definitely.
them. Breath of Saren, we love those
That's what I was
guys.
about to say.
Scumlord, we love it. Damn, Hello Luna, those are family.
Oh,
up
yeah,
there.
yeah.
We're working with their engineer for.
That's
Well, with
definitely
their drummers, their engineering.
Body Farm.
Body Farm, yep, we got them on the record too. Yeah, Weed Demon is our homies.
Yeah.
Because the amount of collaborations you have.
Yeah,
on
this next
new-
record is
Yeah.
the
Covered in
collaboration,
collabs, yeah.
but they're not like rapper collabs.
Mm.
That's something we like. We were really trying to stay away from. Is too much of that. We really want to bring in different minds.
Well, we got some cool shit happening on that
We
front.
do, we do.
We got a cool ass rapper coming through.
Yeah, I know. We got to figure that song out.
I gotta figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do on that track. That shit is crazy.
Information? Hello? Who is this?
Devil on your shoulders, man.
Yeah, I don't know if we should say who just yet.
No.
He's local and he's crushing it.
He's definitely crushing it, but we'll speak on that in the future.
And of course, of all the local hip hop acts, you know, like the hip hop community is where it's done me great justice, and we're making sure Audacity isn't taking a poop on us real quick.
So when it's pausing like that, is it going
It's
away?
still going. It just it's
Oh, okay.
it's the
Yeah.
GUI is having a hard time. But yeah, Blueprint. You know,
Oh, shit.
that's my homie. He actually got. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for him. He was the
Yeah.
first person to give me a music video gig. Illogic, Ill Poetic is doing our mixing and mastering. He's like my best friend. Yeah, we're inspired by so much. It's ridiculous. Like, we're just happy to be absorbing art and expressing it.
I actually gave Zay Crypto a. Oh, shit. I haven't listened to it in so long. I haven't been at work. Their podcast, Blueprint and the Logic's podcast.
Tough, Super Duty Tough.
Super Duty Tough Work. I gave, because Zay Crypto and I are huge fans of that show.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up gifting him a sweatshirt of theirs
Nice.
for Christmas. So
Aw.
I'm very familiar with
that's-
with their work. Yes.
Yeah, that's like Al and I have been friends.
What?
Oh yeah, Al, fucking let him know for real. Like he's
Please
very.
do.
We're very, very close friends.
Okay.
When I met Blueprint was when it was like Illogic with it was Greenhouse Effect before it was Illogic was a part of it kind of thing.
Okay.
And it like Blueprint had just put out chamber music. And I went, it was just like he was playing a show with like El Jesus de Magico and Teeth of the Hydra, which those are local bands that don't exist anymore, which I wish did. And I went up to play and I was just like, look, man, thank you. And he was like, wow. And then we've been friends since. So, and same with Illogic has been my favorite rappers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just shout out to them real quick.
Yeah. Again, shout out to the
'cause-
OGs.
Yeah.
J. Rawls.
Jay Rawls.
Yeah.
He's been on here before. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I
That's the
forgot.
homie.
That's tight.
Oh yeah.
Him and I toured together. Well, I toured with,
yeah.
it was like Illogic, The Poetic, and J. Rawls, and Ellie for the Uncool at the time, which is King Beta.
Dude,
And we all became very close friends.
that is a dream.
Oh yeah, it
That's
was
so
fun.
cool.
Yeah, the Ohio Takeover tour. And then the second one was with Stolly. It was pretty much the same
Oh,
way. with
okay.
Stolly.
Very nice. Awesome. Fringe Life Squad. I don't know much about this.
It's actually been around way longer than Skulls.
I will say I might be intrigued
Oh,
to hear about this.
Saying that.
Cut that out.
So yeah, I can. Fringe Life Squad is originally, back in the day I actually used to have a production company, a video production company called Eris Productions. We kind of all went different ways except for Keenan and I, who my good friend Keenan, who lives out in New York, he's doing a music video for Skrulls whenever. That was another thing that kicked us in the butt. He was supposed to be coming out, and we had this whole music video planned. And he actually built an artificial intelligence software to make this video, so we cannot wait to get to it.
Damn, okay.
But yeah, he's a super genius.
But New York, though.
yeah. Well, he's out there, and it's really just the flying and stuff. But yeah, they're terrified.
Yeah.
New York is a very scary place right now. But either way, so Keenan and I, and at the time Chelsea Anders, who is a good friend of ours, all three of us were like, well, we want to keep making stuff together, but we don't really know what to do. So we kind of flew under no name for a really long time. Really didn't want to commit to any sort of like group anything, just sort of make cool stuff for a while. And then we were hanging out with Keenan's mom, drinking wine, smoking weed, and we were telling her this story about like how we almost didn't make it home from Ohio, and this trap artist that I do videos for, we called him up and we're like, look man, we're stuck in Ohio, do you want a music video? And he's like, let's get it. He gives us like $500 to come and shoot a music video so we can get home. And we telling his mom the story, she says, to live on the Fringe. And we joked for a really long time. It was like anything that would be anything crazy that would happen, we were like Fringe. And then eventually it turned into Fringe Life Squad. And the Clutch Kids is kind of like a representation of people used to always call us when their projects were just a hot mess, and we would come in and fix them.
Nice.
But yeah, that's where it kind of started. So it originally was kind of like built for our video production team, but we really didn't want to just be like, such and such productions. We didn't really want to even be just a video production team because I draw and I make animations, and sometimes I make music, and sometimes I might want to paint, or we just kind of wanted an avenue to express all this stuff. So we just sort of kept it vague, and Fringe Life was born. And now we kind of release our music under that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because this was put out it was put out in January of this year, but.
It's sat for a bit.
Yeah. I made about a year and a half or two ago.
Okay. And when was it edited? At the time it was made too?
You made it.
I edited it, and basically the next day I cut it.
Okay.
Yeah, you had it cut to me pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that's been a thing for
there's
releasing the music under it for a while.
Right, and if you even go back to Ill Poetics music videos, you'll see our insignia. I'm trying to remember the first time we put Fringe Life on something. But yeah, we've got films, all kinds of things. Illogic music videos. Basically, any of our art that is super weird goes under Fringe Life. Yeah.
Respect. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to hear the answer to this question. What do you, as a group, want your audience to feel from seeing you perform or listening to your music?
Entertained, tormented, guilty, hating themselves, yet also loving life.
Damn. You had that sitting there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really gotta pee. Can I go pee real quick?
Go ahead.
Got my answer out.
My home is your home.
What do you guys?
I was going to ask him to do that again. That was impressive. Any of you remember that? 'Cause
yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What do you want people to feel from seeing you perform or listening to your music?
I don't know, I guess I just want people to be entertained. I like the performance aspect of the shows. I mean, I don't feel on the spot. I don't know.
It's okay. I understand. I can tell you what I feel when I see you perform. I could do that.
I'm very interested.
Impressed and frightened at the same time. And it's cool because, I know all of you pretty well, and seeing that just raw expression of what I know about all of you put out on that stage, it's just such a crazy experience. And I feel strangely safe yet not at the same time. I'm I'm like in a cradle of thorns.
Oh wow!
If that means anything, you know.
Cradle of Thorns.
I'll repeat that so he hears it. I was telling them that the way your performance makes me feel is like I'm in a cradle of thorns. I'm being preserved by dangerous things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I remember you like coming up and like brushing me really hard, walking around.
I'm always in
the
a fucking
audience and
blur
stuff.
when I'm doing that
Oh
shit.
yeah.
Oh, it was crazy, dude. I was like, oh, I might die, but I'm cool with that. Like,
It's so interesting is like seeing the audience's faces. Some people get really into it. Some people are fucking terrified the whole time.
Some people are just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Maybe I
Some
should
people
leave.
are just like at first they're like, ugh, but then really into it. Like they don't know what to expect when it's like, I don't know.
It's a very off the rails kind of show.
Yeah. Especially because we played like most of our shows have been like hip hop shows,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Adds to the excitement.
right because like like the hip hop culture is very much like I got my Jordans, I got got my white hoodie, don't get it dirty.
got my devil horns. My Gucci devil
Well, and in
horns.
fact, when we were doing that tour, of course Sam Racine handled that, and we had a meeting with them, and we were like, all right, well. We were like, how do you think some of these venues are going to feel about us making a mess? We are going to bring some things to clean it up, but we can't promise everything. And Sam's like, I don't really think the venues are going to have a problem with it. I'm more concerned about the audience.
Yeah.
He asked us to tone it down, which we didn't do.
No. They still like the show.
Oh, Sam's our biggest fan. Like, hands down. But for me, my answer is something. I just want you to feel something. If you hate what we're doing, good. You felt something. And that's all I care about.
Yeah, at least people never walk away fucking bored.
Yeah.
They never
Yeah.
they never fully tune out. They might not want to necessarily hear what the fuck is going on. But I've seen people especially at the Dayton show, there were multiple people in that crowd that were kind of just talking amongst each other about it. Not really liking what they're seeing.
Yeah. People will tell
but they
us.
stayed to watch.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. People will tell us, I wouldn't really listen to your music, but I like it. And then what's really funny about that is, I forgot to mention, Guar is probably our biggest inspiration, when it comes to our live performance. And I don't know if you've ever seen a Guar show, but it's a rule. If you go to a Guar show and you don't want to get dirty, you have to stay in the back. You will get covered with, fake vomit and blood.
Okay.
They have carried the theory of having a story that goes through the whole thing. They're aliens from another planet. They're eternal. They'll never die. They have amazing special effects. There's actually a long story about how Dave Rocky or Odorous Orungus had a cuttlefish, which was his codpiece, which was this big and it had a big face on it. And in Cincinnati, actually, he played a show and he offended so many people that. There was something where it was illegal for him, venues would not book them if he had cuttlefish. So for many years he played without cuttlefish, and then he missed cuttlefish so much he made a love story, made a film about how much he missed cuttlefish. And then after that he started playing with cuttlefish again and refused to take it off. So again, that, that's one of our big things. And but the biggest thing is I was never really a fan of Guar's music, but I never miss a Guar show. They're just so amazing live. So that's one of my favorite things, actually. When people tell me, I don't really like your music, but I love your performance.
Yeah, that was one of the first bands. I'm always talking over you, Danny.
Sorry, no, it's cool.
Yeah, Guar was one of those first bands that my dad put me onto that I watched videos for real early, before I even started rapping.
That's amazing.
I think it influenced my subconscious a little
Wow.
bit. More,
that's so good.
apt to
I
do
actually
this.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever mentioned that.
That's pretty rad. Guar's Virginia heroes. They're from Richmond, Virginia, and they actually have this little commune. It's called the Milk Factory, the Milk Factory. And if you want to go fucking make shit for Guar, just go live with them.
Cool.
I don't know if they're still doing that, but I know that's how it was for a long time.
Hell yeah. Speaking of the general topic of locations, this is Gab Street. You're gonna hear it. It's here. How has Columbus as a city and the people in it helped you grow as a group?
Well, I'd say when we first did this show, when we first did some of this music in Virginia Beach, I mean, one, we weren't as good.
We were not as good.
Did not have
our live
shit
show was
figured
not
out.
very tight.
Did not have our shit figured out. Our first show was a fucking wreck. We fucked that show up.
Oh man.
It was bad. but even when we did do kind of decent, you know, they weren't as apt to our music.
They just didn't care.
They just didn't care as much. And I think that's also because, like, with our current state of our show, with, like, the way that we dress up and present ourselves, you know, it makes the people who don't care. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have that.
We didn't have that.
That kind of, it's not necessarily a crutch, but it definitely, I mean, it is a little bit.
It helps us, yeah.
Yeah, I think it helps people that aren't into the lyrics.
Not everybody's going to want to hear metal hip-hop. That's just fact.
Yeah.
But when you are showing up dressed up, it makes it more fun. But we didn't have that, so yeah.
Yeah, we just didn't have that. And I think coming out here, you know, gave us more of an ability to, like, try something like that and feel like, hey, maybe this probably could work out here. You know, I don't think our act with the state that it is would do very well in Virginia, and that's, like, the only comparison I really have, you know.
Yeah, Virginia is very much like, a good example is like where there's some amazing talent that's come out of Virginia, but they don't do it in Virginia. You know, Missy Elliott wasn't making her records in Virginia. It was like,
she's from Virginia.
Yeah, she lives in Virginia Beach. That's where her home is. Pharrell, Chino, Pusha T, my favorite rapper of all time.
I met that man at the basketball court that I, like, grew up at. It was the same basketball court he grew up at.
That's cool.
It was really interesting. Yeah, they came out to shoot a documentary, the No Malice documentary with his brother.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. He didn't want to talk to anyone though.
Yeah, but like, a good example is so the thing about Virginia Beach is it's very spread out. It's hard to get around. There's tunnels everywhere. Nobody likes to do so. It just kind of kills your drive. Columbus is so different. So I'm from Columbus. I lived here from 20 to like 25, and then I moved away and came back, and I was always still relevant. I was at least once every 2 months I was spending time here in Columbus doing music videos for artists and such. So I knew that coming out here was going to be a big difference for us. I kept telling him, you know, like, just wait till you see Columbus. And when we came and played 2x2, it was when he saw it, he was like, wow, this.
Well, we didn't play 2x2.
We played the after party.
Oh, we did do that.
Yeah. That was not last year's 2x2, the one before.
Yeah, we did that.
That's super hot.
That was a fucking weird.
That was
fucking show.
I hated that show. Literally halfway through our set, somebody came and asked us if we could play different music.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It was not our crowd.
It was.
Wow.
We could talk a lot about
anyone's crowd.
No, yeah, that was the thing. It was really poorly organized.
No.
Like, I could get into that, but yeah. But the point was that I was like, knowing that like coming out to Columbus was going to be different. As soon as Omega got out here, we knew right away, though. Like, people really were gravitating to what we were doing more so than normal, even for, you know, me, who's had a lot of clout out here because of my music videos. But like, you know, the things about Columbus is that it's affordable. It doesn't cost us, you know, thousands of dollars to get things done. You know,
True.
We're not paying a whole lot to make our recordings happen. And when we do pay a lot, it's for the best of the best equipment. You know, if we're going to pay $500 to spend an entire day in the studio, they're going to have $100,000 preamps. But we don't have to do that. We can still pay pretty average prices and go record where we're at, which is we're currently recording at Milo Arts Recording Studio. Shout out to them.
They've been fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They've been awesome.
But the biggest thing is Columbus has and you know, speaking from somebody I've made music videos in almost every major city in the nation. I've worked with a lot of bigger acts down to smaller acts, to some people I've never even met. I've edited their stuff and sent it to me, people all over the world. One thing I will tell you is that nobody has what Columbus has. And that's something that, you know, I feel like it was like back when Atlanta was first becoming something, is what Columbus has right now. Is this interconnectivity that, I don't know, like everybody's kind of excited about what everybody's doing. There's so much encouragement. You know, people put out records and people go buy those records. That's not happening in other times. You go put out a record CD in Virginia Beach, you know you're doing a charity work. You know, Nobody's going to buy that crap. Nobody's even going to come to the show. What venue are you going to play at? You know,
yeah, what venue can I play at?
There are venues here. There are, you know, there's just so much like artistic connectivity out here that just isn't like other places. And that even goes to the extent of New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta. Nobody has what Columbus has, and it's just this interconnectivity.
I'm gonna say, like, Columbus is such an art-focused or art-minded city. I feel like there's so many just artists that work and thrive here in this community, and there's just a lot of support all around that. So
yeah, and you can afford to. You can afford to like have a 9 to 5 and make your art, or you can literally make your art and probably cover your bills. You know, you don't even have to really try that hard because it's very affordable to live here, and that's a big thing. Like our special effects makeup artist, you know, she owns her own house. She doesn't have to pay a whole lot. She kind of got it for a really great deal, so we don't have to pay her thousands of dollars to make the things that we need. We pay her hundreds of dollars, or what she asks. If she said thousands, we pay her. But the thing is, like, she knows she's doing us a favor. Where, you know, we're all meeting in the middle. You know,
she does big things. I mean, she did a huge
Netflix.
feature film. Yeah, that's ready to drop. Like,
Netflix here soon and stuff like that. So, you know, people are doing big things out here, and it has so much to do with the fact that you can clock out at the end of the day. You know, in New York, you can't clock out. When I lived there, you can't clock out. There's no clocking out. You don't get to do your own thing unless you're already famous. And good luck getting famous there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what I love about it. There's so many things I love about it. The topography, the way that, you know, everything, you can get to everything so easily.
True that.
You know.
It's true. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Hell yeah. Just gonna double check that this didn't lose the last 3 minutes or so, because that would suck. I think we're okay. But, I got a new PC. It's doing its thing. So, having a lot of fun with it. It's been stuttering, but we're gonna be okay. We don't have that much left, actually.
All right.
Believe it or not. Yeah. Where can people find you in your work and support what you do?
Instagram at Skulls for Grenades Kills X.
SX, FXG kills.
Yeah. One time I said it wrong.
If you search Skulls for Grenades, pretty much will come up pretty much anywhere. Any streaming service. I'm a big supporter of Google Play. Their stats suck. It's hard to know whether or not people are listening to you, but they pay the best. But if you have Spotify, if you have Tidal, literally anything.
We're on SoundCloud too.
Yep.
We got
SoundCloud.
music video on
Bandcamp.
YouTube. You guys should check out Dismantle the System.
It's very good.
Pretty much anywhere. You search Skulls for Grenades. And that's the one thing about our name is it's really unique. We did talk about that. We wanted to have a very unique name.
So
That
if someone stole our fucking Instagram,
I
just
think
the SXFXG.
there's some
It's a dead account.
yeah, from
Buy
like
it.
it's like a Korean band,
I hit
like
them up.
metal band.
Let us buy it.
No, they're dead.
Yeah, they didn't get me back.
They
I haven't posted
they're
since like 2012 or
probably
something.
all working jobs or something. They don't know nothing
Job,
about.
yeah.
They're adults now. But yeah, if you search Skulls for Grenades, we're gonna come up.
Cool. Yeah. I think adding kills on the end is cool anyway.
That's
so
fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, and that's a nice. We debated a while.
Oh my god,
What
that
the
was
fuck we
such
were
a
gonna
long
do?
conversation, and we were not
Could
having
we
fun.
put another X at the beginning?
If you were to-
Maybe a 0 at the end.
If you want to talk about the challenge, that was probably our biggest challenge, was picking our at for Instagram. That's the only thing that we've really ran into that was hitting.
That was a
into the balls.
challenge. That's a easy fucking challenge.
Everything else is great.
They could decide a lot of shit, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Blueprint talks about that a lot.
Really?
Because he comes from an artist who searched Blueprint.
Yeah.
It's hard to find him.
Yeah.
And he struggled. He actually spent a lot of time, a lot of analytics went behind, you know, he's a programmer, so he knows a lot about this stuff. But he spent a lot of analytics behind, like, making sure that when you search Blueprint rap or Blueprint hip hop, he's the first to come up. But if you just search Blueprint, like, it's hard. Even him compared to, you know, you got Jay-Z's album Blueprint.
Yeah.
So it's like he had to spend a lot of time. So he's always, his biggest message to me has always been, like, be unique and promote your name more. When we first did our shows, we didn't say anything between our songs.
Like the first.
People didn't even know what our name was.
The first shows or.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Broken Brain tour.
Okay.
No.
We did it this time.
Oh no, now
Did
you
we?
know our name.
Yeah, we did.
You
Yeah, we
know
did.
our
'Cause
name.
He did. I said it. Skulls for grenades.
Skulls for grenades. You know it now. Sometimes I've actually been a couple places where, like, people saw our shows and they're like, Skulls for Grenades! And I was
Nice.
like, oh shit.
That's awesome.
So, but that's good. That's what you want.
I'll be one of those people. I'll try my best. Won't get as raspy, but it'll happen.
Which is cool because our next album has got so much, like, crowd participation opportunity.
Yeah.
We got
Okay.
a lot of catchy hooks.
All right. Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Alright.
I like the sound of it. Do we have any last minute shout outs to make?
Big shout out to Milo Arts Recording Studio, Sam Rothstein over at Sam Works, or at Work Agency. Of course, shout out to you, homie.
Thank you very
You've always
much.
been a supporter.
Shout out to y'all.
big shout out to everybody who's been involved with the project. I wish I could literally run through everybody, but it's like everybody from Weed Demon to Scumlord to Body Farm. Gosh, just a shout out to everybody who's been involved with what we're doing. And all the people who show up to our shows and love it. Like, wow,
It's pretty cool shit.
it's pretty amazing.
It's fun. Gives you something to look forward to.
Shout out to Audacity.
Shout out to Audacity for tripping us out.
Yeah, for making me the most nervous I've ever been during an interview. Real nice. It's doing it again. Fantastic. Should be fine. The phone audio will be fine. No, I'm just kidding. We got it all. It's all good.
Cool, man.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, man. We've been looking forward to this.
Yeah,
we love your
yeah.
podcast. It's
As
fun.
have I, and
Good to see your face. It's been a while.
Yeah,
I know.
me
Other
too.
faces.
And I appreciate you being comfortable in this whole situation,
Yeah.
being here, and I feel like this will give some hope to some people.
I think so
hopefully.
too. I mean, we all said when the boy got elected, it's got to get darker before it gets light. And I think,
Yeah.
how can it get darker than this?
Yeah.
How can it really? I hope it can't.
I think they can. Bombs.
I think it can.
We've been dropping bombs.
There's-
No, bombs here. There's no bombs here.
Murder hornets.
Murder hornets.
Yeah.
Murder hornets are
Like-
not that scary.
What?
They
They're
kill like
like-
50.
They don't really
Are you
hurt
fucking
you.
joking?
They don't really hurt
What
you.
if you add
They're
one
not-
in your room?
They do. They can kill you.
No, they can't.
Murder hornets.
No, there's even this guy who's been on YouTube, like stinging himself with them to prove they can't. They just hurt you. That's it. But they kill bees. That's why they're called.
Why would you
hornets.
stain yourself with a fucking...
They're like this big.
That's
Yeah,
so
they're big and
bad.
stuff, but
Who would do that? Trying to get it out yourself, too.
I'm just kind of like those guys who do the YouTubes who like do drugs just so people know. It's the
Those
same
are
thing.
drugs. That's you get something out of that.
Some people like pain, man.
Man,
Hornet drugs, dude.
I want to be him.
Yes,
I wonder if he has any cool things to write about.
And he has a whole YouTube channel.
He probably has some cool lyrics.
Bro, what are
I love pain.
the
Put the
Hornets?
stinger in me. I love pain.
What's that a gateway to?
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah. that's
Okay.
fine, man.
Well, next episode is actual murder hornet. We're going to be talking to him. We're going to see for science. It's going to be cool. He's the size of that chair apparently, so I'm sitting on the other side. It'll be cool. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our first episode back. I know I did. I'm very excited for the future. Next week we have a very talented, also filmmaker. You know who it is. I'll mention it after we stop recording, but because you got to keep them on the down low. But thank you so much. We'll be back yet again next Wednesday morning, as every week. And let's hope I can actually hit the stop button. See you later.
Later.